You've probably used, I don't know, a dozen services today that are powered by a technology you've never even seen. It's this hidden engine that runs our real-time world, a system that was literally designed to handle a tsunami of data. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on Apache Kafka.
So let me ask you this. What in the world could a streaming giant, a company that completely changed travel, and a massive retail chain, what could they possibly have in common? On a deep technical level.
Well, the answer is a single concept: events. Every single one of them is built around this idea of capturing and reacting to these massive, non-stop streams of events. And that, right there, is the key to understanding everything that follows.
But what is an event? Honestly, it's super simple. An event is just a record that something happened. It could be you placing an order online, a smart thermostat reporting a change in temperature, or even you picking a seat on an airplane. Every little action, that's an event. And here's where the scale just gets mind-boggling. We're not talking about thousands or even millions of these things. Our connected world is churning out trillions of these events every single day. So that creates this monumental challenge, right? How do you possibly keep up with all of that?
Well, it turns out that exact problem led to a pretty incredible solution. And that brings us to Kafka's origin story, which, believe it or not, starts inside one of the biggest social media companies on the planet.
Yep, Kafka was born at LinkedIn way back in 2011. See, they were basically drowning in data and needed a totally new way to handle it all in real time. So they built Kafka. And then they did something amazing. They gave it away to the Apache Software Foundation, making it open source for anybody to use. Fast forward to today, and it's pretty much the undisputed king of event streaming.
And here is why it took over. It was a completely different way of thinking. With the old systems, a message was like a disposable note. Once one app read it, poof, it was gone. But Kafka treated messages like entries in a permanent logbook. The event is stored, which means all sorts of different applications can come along and read that same event whenever they want for completely different reasons. This write once, read many idea was absolutely revolutionary.
And just how revolutionary was it? Well, get this. Today, over 80% of Fortune 500 companies rely on Kafka. I mean, that alone tells you just how critical this thing has become.
Okay, so we get the why, but how does this thing actually work under the hood? Let's follow the journey of a single event as it zips through the Kafka system. It's actually pretty cool.
It all kicks off with something called a producer. So imagine you just bought a coffee with a mobile app. The payment service that creates the record of your purchase, that's the producer. It's the thing that creates the event and fires it off into the Kafka ecosystem.
So where does that little coffee purchase event go? The producer sends it to a topic. The best way to think of a topic is like a dedicated logbook or a folder for a certain type of event. So our payment event goes into the payments topic. Another event, like maybe a user clicking an ad, would go into a user clicks topic. It's just a really smart way to keep all the different data streams organized.
Now these topics, these logbooks, they don't just float around in the cloud. They live on a network of servers called brokers. These brokers all work together as a team, a Kafka cluster, to actually store the data in the payments topic and make sure your transaction record is safe and always available. And then, on the other end of the line, you have the consumers. These are the apps that actually need to do something with the events. So in our coffee example, a fraud detection system could be one consumer, constantly watching the payments topic for anything weird. At the exact same time, the company's accounting system could be another consumer, reading that very same transaction to update its books. And the best part, they don't interfere with each other at all.
So you might be wondering, what happens if one of those server brokers just fails? How does Kafka make sure no data gets lost? The secret sauce is something called replication. Your data isn't just stored on one leader broker. It's also copied to several follower brokers. So if that leader ever goes down, no big deal. One of the followers just gets promoted automatically and takes its place. It's this brilliant self-healing system that means the data stream never, ever stops. It's resilience built right into its DNA.
All right, so that's the techie stuff. But how does this all come together in the real world? Let's take a look at the incredible things companies are actually building with all this power.
A huge one is building these real-time data pipelines. I mean, think about a big bank. Kafka is the thing that can stream thousands of transactions every second, feeding them at the same time to the fraud detection system, the accounting ledger, and the app that sends you a push notification, all without ever dropping a single piece of data.
And then you have the applications that feel like they're reacting instantly. You know, when you add something to your cart online and the stock level updates for everyone else immediately? Yeah, that's often Kafka. Or when a music service recommends a new song based on what you just finished listening to? That's Kafka too. It's the backbone for experiences that feel alive and totally responsive.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. Check out this quote about IBM's streaming service, which is built on Kafka. You've got Victor Nielsen, a CTO who uses this stuff every day, saying it's core in everything we develop. I mean, that says it all. This isn't some niche tool. It's fundamental.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second and just tie this all together. When you look at the big picture, why has this one piece of technology become so completely essential?
It really comes down to four, let's call them superpowers. First, it's real time. It lets businesses react the instant something happens. Second, its scalability is just insane. It can handle that data tsunami we talked about without even breaking a sweat. Third, it has high availability, thanks to that clever replication, so your data is always safe. And finally, it has broad integration. It's like the universal translator for data, connecting hundreds of different systems that would normally never talk to each other.
You know, maybe the best way to think about it is this. Kafka has become the central nervous system for any modern data-driven company. It's that super fast, super reliable pathway that carries all the sensory information, all the events, from every part of the business to the brain, so that smart decisions can be made in the blink of an eye.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big question. We see how Kafka is powering the world we live in right now, but as everything, and I mean everything, from our cars to our toasters, starts generating data, what comes next? What incredible new things are we going to build with these powerful real-time streams of information? That's something to think about.